What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to Tub Takes. This is the VGC video podcast where I go over what's been making waves in the just me. I'm not going to be the only one talking. Where we make where we discuss what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today, I am joined by my co-host Adi. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. Do you know any Pokemon that make waves? I can think of a couple. Should we discuss those?
Yeah, that's actually what we're going to be talking about. Just the waves.
Talking about Kyogre. Now we got a special episode. We got the CSR Zama show today. We've got our CSR Zama expert on the call. He loves being called the CSR Zama expert. It's Montana.
Hello, chat. I'm Montana. I'm the Shadow Rider Zamazenta enthusiast joining you today. So
he'll be taking no questions, no comments,
none at all.
Okay. But if you guys have any comments, of course, do leave them in the Twitch chat. We'll be watching along as we go. And if you're here now, but you would rather watch this on YouTube or you're not going to be able to make it to the end, then ! YT in the chat. We upload this on YouTube tomorrow. And so, yeah, with that, I guess let's go ahead and dive right into it. Waste no time. And today we'll be talking about Shadow Rider Zamazenta stuff at the very end, but we still have a couple of news bits to cover this week. Starting off with Adi actually being the one that get the official news about Switch 2, posted quoting him, I guess not replying to him, but kind of the same deal. Adi ended up tweeting out after, I guess here's the source link, but yeah, this page went live. Adi, why don't you walk through it, because you'll know a little bit better than me.
Oh, yeah. Well, so funnily enough, I shared the link after you posted it in Tub, so I saw it from you. But
right.
Yeah. I mean, they posted a bunch of information about Worlds, and in that they include something saying that the Switch 2 is among the consoles that you can use. And so it looks like we could use Switch 2 at Worlds. Some people were saying, I don't know, judges have not been told about this. And then Play Pokemon tweeted it out. So I guess the judges are going to just have to figure it out. Which, good luck to them. I'm hoping this goes more smoothly than the first tournament of Switch 1. But yeah, Switch 2 officially, according to Play Pokemon Twitter, is legal at the World Championships and for all foreseeable events, which is very exciting because it is so much nicer to play on than the normal Switch.
Yeah, I think everybody here has a Switch 2, other than 3 people on the call as well. So we've all probably gotten the chance to experience it. Ma, I know you're a big fan of playing on Switch 2. Are you planning on playing it at Worlds?
Yes. Well, I'll need to get a case, I guess.
Right.
But the Switch 2 is so much nicer to play on. I was doing some shiny hunting this weekend of the event with like the patch raises and stuff, and I was like, I do not know how I could do this on Switch 1. It looks so much worse with the lower resolution and with like the fewer Pokemon, and even just playing in Battle Stadium. It's weird when like Astral Barrage doesn't lag anymore. So it's very cool to see how much better it is on Switch 2.
Have you felt like when you're playing on Battle Stadium, you see the connecting little thing for longer than average? Like you're definitely waiting for your opponent who's on a Switch 1 sometimes, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think for joining the battle, especially, is where it might take longer to load in on the Switch 1 than on the Switch 2.
Yeah, which is just like free time to think, which is great. Like it is actually a not a huge advantage, but like it's an advantage to play on a Switch 2. So you probably should.
Mm-hmm. No, I've definitely noticed that. It's very, very funny. And I think I've told this story on Tub Takes 1,000 times, so I'll blow through it really quick. But I remember playing against Alvin in top 4 of a regional. He had his 2DS, and I was playing on a 3DS. And I was loading like literally over 30 seconds ahead of him. And it's not that drastic between Switch 2 and Switch 1. But it is pretty noticeable. And yeah, I mean, it's a technical advantage to be at the lead state before your opponent. You'll have a little bit better idea of what's happening in the battle. It doesn't start doing the ability stuff until I believe probably the same time or like in sync or whatever. Because I've definitely like led a Miraidon into my opponent's Miraidon, and then there's a hang. There's like a it stops for a little bit and then eventually activates those abilities, and that's what I would assume is when the Switch 1 player has caught up to you.
Yeah, and then the only other difference I can think of is like inputting moves feels nicer too on the Switch 2. And you can do it a little quicker, I guess. If you have a turn coming down to the wire, it's like I have a second left. Maybe on Switch 2 you'd be able to execute something that you wouldn't be able to on Switch 1. I don't know. It's
Hmm.
super close. It's more just that it feels better because you're at the 60 FPS instead of 30 when you're like inputting the moves.
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping that it goes smoothly running the Switch 2 at these tournaments. I'm gonna be bringing both, most likely, planning on playing Switch 2, if possible. I'm actually, this is a funny little story, but I'm planning on not getting a Switch 2 case and trying to get my Switch 2 to the tournament because I am like very convinced that we're gonna get like some kind of case that's being sold in the Pokemon store, and I'd much rather buy one of the like cool worlds ones, whether or not we get gifted one and not gifted, I guess, whatever. It's included in our competitors kit or it's in the Pokemon Center. I'd take either, like just because I don't want to buy a plain black, like whatever boring Switch 2 case. It'd be a lot more fun to get some kind of Pokemon themed one, and so I might just actually like wrap it in a T-shirt or something just to get it to Worlds. I don't know.
So we already have the competitor kit, so we know there's no Switch 2 in the case in the competitor kit.
Are we sure we have like
But
everything in it? The in that
yeah, they posted a video with everything in it.
Right, that was
On
got you.
So we do know that unless they shake everything up, there's not going to be a Switch 2 case. But yeah, there probably will be one in the store. That is something that I have to buy as well. It's a bit on my to-do list at some point, and I do think that I don't know. My problem with the getting a Pokemon case, I usually give out those cases as a gift because they are really nice cases and people like them. But I feel like I can't have a Pokemon case at a Pokemon tournament because someone will steal my Switch on accident. And so I got to get a normal case that is distinctly not Pokemon themed, so I can know which case is mine.
I feel
Right,
that way about
right.
the backpacks. I'm always kind of scared
Mhm.
to take like a world's backpack and stuff to some of the events just because there's going to be so many. So, although for I think there wasn't a case last year's worlds did not have a merch one or a competitor one. That's
Yeah.
correct,
Yep.
I think. And then the year before that, was it maybe just one, or did we have both competitor and merch
That I can't
case?
remember for sure. But yeah, I'm just hoping that we get one for Switch 2. I mean, it just makes so much sense to me, but maybe
Yeah,
we won't.
I think in Yokohama it was maybe just merch and no competitor Switch case. I could be wrong on that.
I used
That
to be
sounds right.
a World's backpack at tournaments person, but I would always bring like the previous year's one, so that way it was
Mm.
like a little flex as well. But maybe I should just roll up to this Worlds with like my 2016 Worlds backpack, like the really ancient one. I still do have it over here. It's small though. It's not very convenient, but it looks cool. Um,
They they are small backpacks.
bring
My
the old
parents have
Anaheim one.
decided they're using. Yeah, well, I don't know about the old Anaheim, but even I just feel like most of them are pretty small, relatively speaking.
100%, 100%.
But
Um,
my parents are using my 2019 one, so I see them in photos when they're traveling with my 2019 World's backpack on.
mhm. That's fun. That's cute. So yeah, Switch 2 at Worlds. I'm hoping that it'll be good and run easily. Because yeah, it's just a really nice upgrade. And I don't know, talking about other things in the future here, like me accepting all the cookies on the Nintendo website. Um, we got this is probably like the most like dead Newsweek news, anyways, to be covering. This is technically nothing, but like I don't know, read into it however much you want. But basically, Pokemon Champions got put on the eShop, I think, or like the store page is up, and I don't know if it actually ended up giving us any new information besides it says like there's ranked and casual battles. We do already have those in Scarlet and Violet, but yeah. Oh, the Peggy rating's out. Thank you, Jimmy, for pointing that out. I didn't realize we got Peggy 7. Okay, this is huge. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, people are using this to maybe try to guess that it's going to be coming sooner than later, just because it's already here, I guess, already here on the store.
I thought I saw someone say that that store page wasn't actually new and was up this whole time, and someone just pointed it out recently. But I don't know the truth of this, like if it was for sure, added recently or if that store page was up for a while. I don't know. I don't know if anyone ever went and actually like verified. I know it had a resurgence this past week, but
I got you.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it means. Oh, I guess it's releasing tomorrow or something.
yeah. No, it is.
But
It's
you know.
confirmed. It's
Oh,
confirmed.
yeah. I think tomorrow. Yeah.
I
Tomorrow. Oh wow. Well, that's exciting.
I wish. No.
You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna see. No, you know what? I'm just gonna do it on the small cam. I did just go grab the other room just for fun, but I grabbed my old. Here's the San Francisco Worlds bag, and then it was like it would actually be funnier to bring the Anaheim one because we are going back to Anaheim and be like, oh, I already have my bag. Like I already showed. I got it before everybody else, but this is the Anaheim World bag. I do actually. I keep them all. I don't know. I feel like. Adi, are you somebody that keeps most of your Pokemon stuff, or do you sell most of it? Like the world's book, I mean, specifically.
I keep most of it. I've sold the cards for a couple worlds. The first
100%.
couple worlds I played in. Everything else is sitting in a box somewhere in my room, and yeah, I'm just holding on to it. It's too much of a pain to sell individually, and it usually goes up in value. So no reason to sell it right now.
And it's just cool, dude. That's where I'm at. It's just cool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like keeping the playmats from Worlds at the very least. I think that's like if I had to keep one piece of memorabilia. Yeah, some of the stuff I keep, like the in Japan I kept the not the chopsticks, but the bowl.
Yes.
And that's like, like, yeah, I know it sells for like $150 or whatever, but like also, I don't know, that's just a cool thing that I can actually use on a day-to-day basis. But like the sleeves and stuff, I don't need that many sleeves. I use some of the sleeves, most of the time I'm sitting on those.
Yep. No, I still use my my bowl every now and then. I think we had Kunal over for curry the other night, and I just didn't have 3 big bowls, or I had 2 bit bowls for me and Gina, and I was like, all right, I guess he's gonna have the Pokemon Worlds bowl for his. So, okay, so yeah, champions.
But I think the fact that there's a PEGI rating might mean something, because like I don't know, do they have to get a close to complete version of the game to rate it? I don't actually know how that works.
This is a question for Mont. Mont should know the answer because this is like basically his job. He gives PEGI ratings.
I don't know offhand with the age ratings how early they have to be. I imagine you could get a review pretty early and just make sure to not like break it, or maybe then there's like a second step in their review process. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Nintendo, it could be different for Switch processes. So
I thought you were the
sorry,
expert.
I don't have an answer.
You're just an enthusiast.
Wait, but as a PEGI rater, what's the least complete game that you've rated?
Okay, this bit's gone too far.
No, I think that it wouldn't be surprising if they stealth dropped it, because I know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, which is the closest thing I know to this other than Pocket, was just stealth dropped on a random day. Or I think most likely we will get a date at Worlds, and the date will be very, very close. It might even be September, because this I do feel like actually is pretty meaningful. They're not going to leave this up for like 6 months to a year, are they? Are they?
Right. I think the earliest
I'm starting to feel
possible.
the copium.
The earliest possible is even earlier than that. Which again, no, I'm not going to tell anybody that's guaranteed to happen or something like that. But it would probably be at the Presents, right? We have a July Presents. I don't remember which weekend that is. I keep forgetting. Is it the 25th one? Or 18? I don't know. Somebody let me know. But that
July
Pokemon
22nd.
Presents. The 22nd weekend. Okay. Yeah. Oh wait. 22nd, so that's like a Tuesday. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that would be the earliest. Go ahead, Mont. Sorry.
I was gonna say it'd be cool if there's like, even if it's not Shadow dropped at Worlds or something. If they had a demo at Worlds, they could play. That'd be cool. I know Pocket had a demo, but when Pocket did a demo, I think it was literally just pack opening. So it was very funny to just walk up and be like, "Oh, I guess that's the game. It's just like opening packs, right?"
Yes.
But then it's like, "Oh no, there's this whole other game part of it." So it'd be cool if I think we'd at least get some info or something about champions by Worlds,
sure.
hopefully.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. So next up here, though, we're going to talk about some actual tournament results. This is actually a tournament, so really good start there, Alex. But this is the Battle Stadium season just finished when the month ended. I believe like just missed this one. We could have like covered this last week, so apologies. I think it like might have gotten posted, but the results will be a little more complete now because when we normally start the show, it's about 1 hour into the British day or whatever, GMT 0 day. The season would have been barely over, and we wouldn't really have a ton of teams to look at, I think. But now, I know that Ice Rider Miraidon did pretty well. Did we talk about this last week? Am I crazy? Did we end up talking about this or no?
I don't think so, but we've seen this
No,
team
okay.
a lot.
This one at the top, yeah. The Volcarona is definitely picking up. This one was actually kind of funny. I might just be mixing myself up because I was looking at these teams myself, but regardless, this Covert Cloak Miraidon, Tailwind on both the Volcarona and Whimsicott. A couple of things about this that definitely scream closed sheet to me, things that you might not expect to do as well in, the World's metagame open team sheet best of 3. But yeah, this was the team that ended up taking it all and finishing first at the end of the season, and definitely been seeing a lot of it around because of that.
Does
But I
it
know that
tickle on Whimsicott?
is it Tickle? I know it's Encore. It's Encore. Does it not have an attack at all? Oh, it's probably Endeavor, if I'm being completely honest, if I had to guess. Because it doesn't have an attack otherwise. Like that's Encore right there, and that's Tailwind, and then it's Endeavor. Somebody in the chat said. I'm gonna believe them. I'm gonna believe them 100%. But yeah, no, I think it's probably Endeavor, especially because it's Sash.
That makes sense.
Okay, and then Arubega, which is this one is the one that I feel like everybody should be looking at considering what happened at the last World Championships. Arubega's team ended up winning the whole thing, and here's Arubega, using another Miraidon team, this time featuring Ice Rider, and posting it, doing well in the period between NAIC and Worlds. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it isn't like the literal potency or strength of Arubega's team from last year. Well, I guess time will tell on that one, but I think this should still just be like something people are taking very seriously and looking at because Arubega has already been proven to be a very strong builder in the past.
Yeah, I don't know what I feel about Life Form Miraidon. It's not something that we've seen do very well ever. We've seen Assault Vest choice, Scarf choice, Specs, really the 3 that people are using. But other than that, I mean, these mons aren't out there, and I don't know. It just like, seems like a pretty standard looking Ice Rider Miraidon team, but it is pretty different than anything we've seen so far.
Right. I think yeah, I could definitely I'm always the person that's gonna be way more interested in these teams than anybody else as a Ice Rider Miraidon player, and so I'm always just like looking at every little thing. I'll save that for when we do a deep dive into Ice Rider Miraidon, then we'll actually be able to talk about all the different little intricacies of the teams. But notably, yeah, both of these Miraidons that did well, not running your standard items, Life Orb and Covert Cloak, could be a bit of a symptom of trying to get an edge on people expecting the typical choice items or Assault Vest. Or it could be that these items actually stand on their own and have some legitimate strength. I mean, both of these teams have Fake Out, Priority Move, Counterplay. I guess specifically Fake Out because it's Covert Cloak on the Miraidon on the other team. And so maybe that's the real key to success here is just having good ways to deal with Fake Out for your Miraidon team.
Also,
all right, let's talk
interesting
about
to see.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's interesting to just see like Whimsicott succeeding on both these. Like it's done well at some recent tournaments, but I feel like it didn't have the best results at like say NAIC. So it is kind of a closed sheet demon because it can run so many moves. But
Didn't it win
yeah,
NAIC?
like it's definitely a piece that's been around. I just mean on Ice Rider.
Yeah, got you. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like people are taking like the Fennec Compo team and blending it with Ice Rider teams as much as they can. They do already share a lot of similarities or use a lot of Pokemon in similar ways. Can use lean on similar strengths. So it doesn't surprise me too much that Whimsicott's good on these teams, and it's just like obviously a very strong Pokemon when we get double restricted because not just like Prankster, but also its typing. Its typing is just so good. The fact that it has that like dragon immunity, it resists like I don't know, like 5 types. It feels like it resists fighting, water, ground, dark. There's just so many things that you can switch a Whimsicott in for electric. Yes, thank you. You can switch it in on so many things for what is supposed to be just like a support Pokemon. Both of these are actually running Focus Sash, so they're not running it bulky, but we do end up seeing that happen a lot in Open Team Sheet. Is like the Covert Cloak Whimsicott set just running with a lot of bulk, I think is a really solid pick.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
let's
back
talk
to
about
Ludicolo.
the back to Ludicolo, of course. So, by the way, if you thought the team wasn't insane enough, just in team preview, looking at the 6 Pokemon, both of the restricteds have choice items, and the Chi-Yu is assault vested. The Ludicolo is not just like I don't know what your standard Ludicolo is supposed to look like, but it's got Fling King's Rock. And there's just the treads here hanging out. Like, no electric terrain or anything, just the treads. This ended up finishing 4th overall in the Battle Stadium season. I also like the translation, because it says the Karai Ogre team I used this week, or this season, and I just like that Karai Ogre is even like a term. Like, nobody is saying Karai Ogre. Like, this is how I built Karai Ogre, by the way, if you guys want to have a look. Like, nobody else.
Classic, yeah.
This was so goofy. I have not run into it though, or seen anybody really trying it. Have you guys?
I have not.
No, but if you scroll down, he did post a rental code, so you can try this team out. I think the it's in response to someone on who's just asking about it. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So if you wanna go, if Cybertron wants to try this out, or someone on YouTube wants to try this out, it looks like it is available. The only difference is it is now Covert Cloak on the Chi-Yu to add to the best of one aspect of it. I do think it's also crazy that the Kyogre is that I guess that's probably just Ice Beam on it. But yeah, it's crazy that it's Choice Band Koraidon and Choice Specs Kyogre. I feel like I don't understand how this team works. I wonder if you just like switch to lead one weather and then just have the other weather in back and say that you're just gonna clean up with the other guys. I don't know. It's a conundrum for sure. Double fake out is cool with the Ludicolo though. That is probably the best way to use Ludicolo.
Oh, I was confused. I was like, they only have one fake out, but you mean to fake out and then fake out again?
What's
Yeah,
the
you fake out twice
on Ludicolo.
That's a good question. It could just be like Grass Knot, could be Energy Wall. I'm not sure, just looking at it, but this team is just not serious. Like, it is kind of funny that Chi-Yu technically can benefit from synergize with both of the restricteds. Like, Beads of Ruin boosted Water Spout in like with choice specs. That's gonna do a lot of damage. I don't really know how this team sets up those situations that benefit these Pokemon. Like, are we Icy Winding with Flutter in Sun, switching in our Kyogre later and Water Spouting? Is it just that we're using Fake Out Water Spout, Fling Water Spout? Like, there's a lot of things. There's no way it's Leech Seed on the Ludicolo. What? Why is it Leech Seed? Oh my god. But yeah, in terms of teams that are going to have an impact on the World Championships, this probably is the most likely. This is something that you'll see everywhere. Everyone's been talking about their Kyogre Koraidon matchup.
Something on it that like I feel like I have seen cropping up a tiny bit is like Iron Treads when you don't have a terrain of your own and you're just using it to fight the Miraidon. Like, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of interesting and like is making its way onto some real teams, but I guess it's when Miraidon's usage is so high. I feel like that becomes more reasonable, but it still just feels kind of odd.
No, somebody said it's attack booster on the treads. It's not even speed. I'm gonna outspeed the Miraidon, dude. Oh my god.
Well, you have Icy Wind for that.
Yes, or Trick Room. Set up Trick Room and sweep them with the treads.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, this is goofy. So
But yeah,
goofy.
I think the Iron Treads is like single best mon into Miraidon Ice Rider, right? And so if you need to slap one mon on to give yourself a matchup, that seems to be the mon that people are putting on their teams.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now this is honestly, this might be very close to something that was already used at a best of 3 tournament. Might have done well on the ladder, the in-game ladder previously, because I swear Suika ran this or something very close to this at Melbourne. I guess. Let me go over to Cut Explorer, take a quick look, see if I know my stuff. But yeah, I think that one of the things that makes it the most like recognizable is specifically this Lumberry body press imprisoned Ice Rider. Like that's just really out there and peculiar. So I figured we had seen this one before, but um, it's still a team that if I saw it on the in-game ladder, I probably wouldn't expect it exactly. Did we go over Rhyperior winning a tournament in Japan? Was it like a grassroots? I didn't hear about this. I mean, that's pretty cool. I know Adi's a big fan of the lightning rod things. I know ESM as well, but Adi, you've been high on them.
Yeah, I think I saw a Rhydon Ho team in day 2 of VR that we're going to talk about at some point.
Yes.
But no, I did not see the Japanese tournament results. I should go digging and see if I could find that for
That would be
myself.
cool. Some teams running Rhyperior with Ice Rider Kyogre. That could be World's runner up, like B Trick Room. They ended up using that to qualify for the live stage, I thought. They had like the Assault Vest Rhyperior that everybody was asking questions about. It had like counter on it, which I think is a really cool move in closed team sheet. So maybe it's inspired by that. But yeah, let's take a quick look here and see if any of the other teams jump out to us. Shilyang also used Groudon, but didn't mention anything else about it. Of course, Shilyang not going to be going to Worlds, so just kind of flexing, styling on everybody. Influencing the metagame. And yeah, these ones are relatively whatever. Lunalization, we see that all the time. Yeah, let's see. No, none of the rest of these are inspiring too much. Although, okay, here we go at the end. Double bike. Do we got more info on the double bike? It's silly. Oh, this maybe it's Leonard's team or something
Electric
close to Leonard.
Seed.
Maybe it's very close to Leonard's team. Salt Vest Miraidon plus Electric Seed Koraidon is so funny. And the tricky part about that one was that Orichalcum Pulse does boost the power of Body Press. So for anybody that didn't know how that one worked, you will take more damage from Body Press. Like not just from the Electric Seed, but also if the sun is up, Body Press is doing more damage. So it's kind of like a sun-setting Zamazenta in a way. And that definitely has some strengths. Of course, you can only really be doing this with Miraidon, or I guess Rillaboom. If you really wanted to, you could make that happen. But yeah, just kind of goofy.
I think Electric Seed is cool. Like it gives you offense and defense and gives you an attack that, can't be intimidated. So it's like you're not running Clear Amulet, but you still have anti-intim and you're getting value out of it in the bulk. Seems strong.
Also, I don't know if I'll do the digging here on stream for Lil Wayne is the Ghost, and I've never seen Calyrex Isolation. If you look at Limitless, I swear there is one Limitless warrior who wins like every 12-person Limitless tournament. Their name starts with like an A, I swear. And they just play every single Limitless tournament with Zacian Ice Rider and like just take them all, take all the titles. Maybe I'll pull it up here in a sec. But I would say Alt Kyle, yes, that's the name. I would not say that like their build has had a large influence on the metagame, though. I haven't really seen it elsewhere. Okay. So with that though, let's go ahead and talk about the VictoryRoad July tournament. And with that, they did not mention when the next one is. So wow, there might be a weekend off.
It's next week.
Oh, of course. My bad. My bad.
I think they just announced that today, right? Or
okay.
I think so. Yeah, it sounds right.
How foolish of me. I'm sure it's here on like the homepage, but yeah, I guess if you missed out on this one, Don't worry. VR challenge number 2 this weekend. So yeah, lots of time to get good practice in, and I do think that that's been a pretty cool way to motivate people to play best of 3 seriously in Regulation I, because I do think a lot of the ladders are slowing down with people, that didn't qualify for the World Championships not really going as hard. Something that I've actually been telling my coaching students is that this is one of the best times to try to like level up if you want to be playing against like World's competitors. Just queue up on the ladder. Those are going to probably be the people that are still playing Regulation I seriously, as people that are going to the World Championships. So if you want to, if you didn't quite qualify for Worlds, but you want to play against those people, play those, or play on the ladder, or play in these Victory Road tournaments, because that's a really good source of practice too. And this one was won by a Pagos Maridon team that isn't exactly like a cookie cutter version of something we've already seen.
Yeah. This is My Stars, who was on my NPA team. They are a Thai player, I believe. And they're kind of known for using some weirder stuff. They've used a few different weird Maridon builds, I think, on our NPA run. And so this also kind of fits the bill with the Maridon Terapagos, and then you have an Amoonguss. And of course, we've seen some Amoonguss on Maridon teams. They do have a lot of synergy, defensive synergy, and obviously not being able to spore is a pretty big detriment. So having the ability to Terra Starstorm, turn off your own terrain on command, guarantee that your Maridon can get terrain back on 4 or 5 turns when it switches back in later in the game, while also having spore pressure in the mid game, is a pretty cool synergy. We've seen some Pagos Maridon teams in the past, but they were all more calm mind. So this is a way to really speed up those teams. Meteor Beam really threaten those Incineroars that might want to fake out your Maridon on lead. And yeah, it's cool. It's still got that backbone of Incin or Bugus or Shifu that I feel like you can slap on so many teams and find success with. In fact, we're going to see a couple more of teams that have that exact same combination, to no one's surprise. But yeah, it's I think it's a cool take on an archetype that was only recently kind of developed before NAIC by Sitchit and by like Thomas Irwin used it to do really well, and now people are kind of taking it further and seeing what else we can do with the Maridon Pagos combination, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that version seems like it has more immediate offensive pressure than some of the earlier ones of, like the more calm mind, like leftover sets. Because I feel like the last time, maybe we've seen it since then, but the last time I remember like Power Herb Terapagos popping off was like at Japanese Nats like last year.
Right?
Uh, like I remember it was doing super well, and then it kind of fell off for Worlds, and then I feel like we haven't seen it that much in Reg I, but it's cool.
Yeah, this team it's kind of funny to me, because we saw it a very similar build to it in the last Victory Road tournament, with just an Ice Rider like 1-for-1 over the Terapagos. The where is it? I know that's Joan Garcia here. Yeah, like this is just like the exact same paced everything. That got like second and third, I think, or something like that in the previous Victory Road tournament. So I guess just a core of good Pokemon, like thrilling. Firewater Grass with Amoonguss, Incin, and Urshifu is strong, but it is just kind of funny to me that the restricted, you would think, is like pretty core to how the team plays, but nope, you can actually put on a Terapagos there, and actually it's not even your regular old Terapagos, but Meteor Beam. So strange, but I guess kind of makes sense. And anyways, MDB ended up getting second with I believe the same old team that he's been using, the one that he got I think like top 16 at NAIC, top 32 at NAIC, something like that, a decent run.
Lost the winning in, yeah, top 32.
Lost the winning in. Okay. So, but that team has definitely been picking up. We talked about it a bit last weekend. So, yeah, definitely one that people are doing well with still. And I mean, even the original creator, that shouldn't come to a surprise to anybody, because obviously Michael is a very strong player. So, Luca Paz using this. I've never seen this before. No. Chris Large. This is technically. Oh wait, that's a Shadow Rider. Never mind. This is different. I was like, yeah, that's just another Ice Rider Marion team.
I don't know. It kind of looks like, like our Bega team from Reg G, but you condense the Fire Pawn and the Iron Hands into Incineroar, and then you add a Shadow Rider.
Right. Sure. Definitely has
But
a lot of those things going on. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like I remember seeing stuff like this like day one of Reg I. Like a lot of people were taking like, oh, you try to take our Bega team and just swap in like the best restricted. But I feel like these are all great Pokemon right now. I'm not surprised to see something like this working well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're seeing them do well on just about everything. Like, I mean, we're really seeing like the best supports just get really, really common. Whimsicott, Urshifu on almost all of these like top 8 teams. Lewis Markle's still doing it with just this same old team, I believe, that he's just been rocking that. We're actually going to get to that in a little bit here in the last section here, the Shadow Rider Zama stuff, the deep dive. Smeargle, this is actually a little bit different. There's not normally Heart thing. What is this, Bolt usually?
Yeah, it was Raging Bolt.
Yeah, on the Kinagawa team. But yeah, let's keep going and see if there's any teams that really stand out as teams that we haven't really seen before, or anything that's like doing things differently. Well, I didn't realize there was a Clefairy section. That's kind of amusing.
Yeah. The Clefairy Groudon team is quite cool. It's not something that we've seen before at all.
Mm-hmm.
With just support Groudon is very cool. Will-O-Wisp on Groudon, along with Grimmsnarl, and you're like, I guess you're setting up your Volcarona and your Calyrex Shadow. They seem kind of redundant, but seems cool as well. Yeah,
You
just not
both
a combination.
you both
What?
use Terra Fairy, Draining Kiss, Shadow Rider with
Yeah.
Clefairy, right?
Yeah,
That's correct.
All right, then I'm just gonna sit back and observe. You guys can talk about this one.
I don't know. It's cool, but I think that, like, Fairy Shadow Rider has always had some weaknesses. Like, I assume if I had to just guess looking at these 6, I would assume that it's a slower Shadow Rider. I mean, maybe they're max speed, but the weakness for that I feel like has always been the mirror versus other Shadow Riders being able to um, threaten you pretty immediately with like faster, stronger astral barrages. And sometimes Draining Kiss is like a weaker move in general than Psychic. It makes it like more of a Terra Hog, even I would say, than the Dark Shadow Rider. So, but it's cool to see it working well here, the fairy one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And in the mirror, when they are Terra Dark, then all of a sudden Terra Fairy Kiss becomes quite good because you both Terra, and all of a sudden now you can hit them super effectively. So that is a little bonus, even if they are slower, which again, I think you're right. I think they probably are slower on a team like this.
But yeah, the tricky thing though too is, like, as we'll see later, a lot of the Dark Shadow Rider variants do have stuff like Fire Pawn that can start to get really annoying to break through, like with the Draining Kiss sets. But I do think Fairy Shadow Rider is cool in that, you can clear dark types without running like Zamazenta. So you see them have like Groudon here. So it's like maybe enabling Groudon is worth it, and Groudon is like super strong right now. So it's cool to see some of these other pairings pop up.
Right. Definitely. And I mean, that it is kind of funny. I didn't realize that the Clefairy was on a different restricted pairing each time. It's always Shadow Rider. It's always Shadow Rider, but one of these is CSR Zama. Still Fairy Kiss. And then what about the Koraidon one? Still Fairy Kiss. I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know how they ended up all lumped together. This is just very amusing to me that they finished like bop, bop, bop right in a row, all running the same-ish idea. That's goofy.
Unfortunately, none of the Fairy Shadow Riders were able to make it to the top. So maybe that says something, like maybe the ceiling of it is lower than the other ones, but it's definitely interesting that is like turning around on the wheel. It seems like people are trying it.
I did miss that. That's Scarf Koraidon. Good point. Good point. Outrage on it, dude. Why not? I mean, what else you got? Just blow them up and stab. 120 base power stab. Okay, so was there? I there was another crazy team, but maybe it ended up not making it to the top cut stage. Yes, this was the one that Audie was talking about earlier. Right on. With the Bolt, too.
Yeah. I feel like my first thought is this is inspired by ESM's Milwaukee team, but that's just because it was also Koraidon, Hoa, Rhydon. The other 3 Pokemon are all different, I believe.
Yep.
But that's my first reaction to it. Where hey, Rhydon does protect your Ho-Oh quite effectively. Maybe that is a strong combination. It's the 100% win rate in some Rhydon Pokemon. Supposedly, I do think it needs Wide Guard. But it only really needs Wide Guard into the specs versions of Miraidon that have Dazzling Gleam. If they're rocking Snarl, then you don't really care about them. Even without Wide Guard, because you can just Terra, you can wall them. So maybe that you could take advantage of those trends and drop the Zamasensa or Lunala that otherwise would need to be on these teams, or ESM had a Toxapex for Wide Guard supports on his team. So I don't know. That's one thing that I feel like is normally missing. That's missing that is normally on these type of Rhydon teams. But otherwise, it's just Rhydon, Ho-Oh, Koraidon, and then the Proto guys. All the guys that benefit from Sun.
They took ESM's team and just like got rid of all the swag. Like the Walking Wake has been made into a Bolt. The Comfy is a Flutter. The Ensign replaced the Pex, and then also like he had Assault Vest on the Koraidon, which is a little bit unseen, and leftovers on the Ho-Oh. And now it's just Clear Amulet and Life Orb. Like just nothing could be crazy like ESM was doing it. All just more normal sets.
They just added like good Pokemon.
Also, somebody in the chat is asking if you would leak your Worlds team, Audie. Are you using Rhydon at the World Championships? Let us know right now. Confirm it.
I don't know. I will say I am thinking about Rhydon. I do want to see. I want to give Rhydon its fair shake because I do think it's a very good Pokemon that no one is using. But it also has to fit on the right team and be the best team at my available to me. And I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I am testing it, so we'll see.
So if you see a Rhydon on the ladder, you should just say Audie in the chat every single time.
Audie, is that?
And sometimes it'll be Giovanni Panarello instead, and they'll say, "Yes, it's me, Audie."
What I always do is that like you're not allowed to lie on the ladder. So every time I queue into a game, I just ask Wolf ? Just in case, because like if I do find him, like I want to know that it's him and his team, and so I'll just be like Wolf. And so far it hasn't worked, but I'm expecting one day. Okay, so other teams though that stand out. Let's see. I mean, still some Smeargles here and there. Definitely going to be wanting to watch out for that Pokemon going into the World Championships. Annihilates.
Pull up Tia Team's team, number 29.
29. Okay. Oh, yeah, Clefairy, sure. Okay, we've already looked at Terra Fairy, Draining Kiss. This is the 7th time we've looked at this today, Audie. What else do you want me to see here?
But this one's Calm Mind Covert Cloak. This is my set.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Where's the Urshifu? No Urshifu? It's a Miraidon. It's not an Urshifu. It's the same thing. This is the team that Tia Team had used in Regulation G, except with a Miraidon or something. I think it's just the Urshifu, because he was on the Pelipper version to these teams and doing very well with them. But it is cool to see Calm Mind Covert Cloak coming back. It's making a comeback. It's not too late.
I think it's too late. I think it's gotta be too late. This gotta be too late. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. Okay. Oh wait, was this the funny one? Yeah. I did happen to look at this one. I was like, Ice Rider Miraidon, I'm in. Okay. This sounds good to me. We're running Iron Crown, sure. Oh, it's Calm Mind, sure. Oh, it's Electric Seed, sure. Yeah, I actually don't know 100% what matchup this farms. Maybe it plays very similarly to the Electric Seed Volcaronas, and you just Terra Fairy and you resist Body Press, and Calm Mind will get you through the Astral Mirages. I guess. I don't know. I'm worried that at +1, the Tachyon Cutter's not doing enough to Shadow Rider, and I don't know if we're going to outpace their nasty plot, so maybe it's for a different matchup. Very funny to see, though.
Yeah, steel coverage is good. Like, I feel like it's always good and kind of hard to come by, so when you can fit moves like Tachyon Cutter, it's kind of cool.
It like has to be stab, right? because otherwise it's
Yeah.
just nothing.
Yeah.
You kill Smeargle, right? That's what's important.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry
Does
about
it
that guy.
though?
So it's the CSR Zama answer.
Calc is right. Does it one shot max HP Smeargle if you're like Electric Seed and I don't know who knows what boost they're getting from Quark Drive.
Well,
They might be getting
Mhm.
speed. They might get a defense. Actually, does
I
it
think a
depend
lot of
on
the smear goals
switch
are
on?
tending to go more physical defense, so maybe it gets that one.
Right. Good point. Okay. And yeah, this is also something that I thought was relatively interesting is that just like Kazuki, who got top 4 at NAIC, ended up playing and only finished 6-4. So just like I don't know. I mean, he was trying some stuff, Terra Grass on the Ice Rider, to get stab on the Leech Seed, and otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of like stuff that is similar to the team from NAIC, but I guess just like when I was looking at this, I was like, if you can get top 4 at NAIC and then 6-4 at uh this Victory Road tournament, like maybe the format's just a little bit hard to be consistent in. So it's
Or
a hard
maybe
format.
VictoryRoad is just harder than NAIC. I don't know.
Yeah,
Have
I
you
agree.
considered that one?
Well,
No.
also I think people are getting a ton of practice because that team I feel like it was everywhere on ladder, both on
Yeah.
showdown and in game. So I feel like everyone just kind of got a large amount of practice versus it just by playing that. Like fought it over and over and over and over. So that probably makes things harder too.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like just being able, like not everyone's gonna be able to roll up with the same team and do well with it again once it starts to become known. Although MDB did roll up with something pretty known and ended up making it to second. So, and Luca Paz, I don't know. Luca Paz is sometimes just a Swiss demon. Kind of referring to his in-game name O and X in Swiss. Well, I feel like he's gone X and O in Swiss a number of times. So, 10-0, a very strong start and finishing in the top 4. Just I guess showing that even if you're thinking you're ready to beat this team, you still have to be ready for the best players, some of the best players piloting this one and piloting it well. You still might just get beat. So I don't think there's any changes here. Nah, that doesn't look like any. All right. So let's go ahead and move on here to talking about Shadow Redder and Zamazenta. We might end up jumping around a little bit, but Adi ended up putting together a little presentation for us. Everybody clap for Adi's opening slide here, of course, because this is beautiful. Not every day you get to see something like this. I'm not gonna. Is there like a view mode? Whoa, that's too big actually for stream.
Whoa.
I would have to reshape my stream. So instead, we're just gonna have it like this. It's good enough. Okay, so we saw a lot of people in the comments in YouTube, by the way. So we do actually read the comments. A lot of people were saying that the archetype analysis was cool with them. They thought that seemed like a good way to spend our time in the weeks leading up to the World Championships. So we're going to cover some of the most common and strong teams. Well, not just archetypes in the format. And this is why we brought Montana on. We don't actually care about anything else he has to say besides his takes on Shadow Rider and Zamazenta. And so, yeah, this is, I mean, when Regulation I got announced, was this one that you imagined you were going to be playing from the start, or were you more hesitant?
I think right from the start, I was pretty set on it just because I had done so much Shadow Rider and Reg G, and just having Zamazenta solves fundamentally just like its biggest one of its biggest issues, and just like hitting dark types and hitting them very hard and being able to one shot Incineroar and clear it off the board. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, and also like Wide Guard is really good. Zamazenta is incredibly good in its own right. Uh, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know like what version of it I'd end up, using, and I've kind of bounced around, but it's yeah, I think from day one I was pretty decided on those two.
And that's the thing is that the versions evolved over time, and so I don't know if the order is presented very chronologically. But I guess I'll just ask you two because you guys probably know a little bit more about the archetype than I do because you've piloted it. But like, what would you say was like the initial strongest one here? Is it what's on screen right now? I think Lewis Markle. I think, um, or am I thinking? Because he did well in. I thought somebody did well in VR with it. I don't know.
I think
there were a few
even
different people who did well in VR
Oh,
with it.
this is probably the earliest.
yeah, the
Uh,
early Zine one I think was one of the earlier ones that was quite strong with
mhm.
with the Tornadus. It has since fallen off. Like I feel like you never see these exact six, um, but yeah, I think early on in the format, this one was really well. People also started switching the items between the POW and the Shadow Rider, like putting the Life Orb back on the Shadow Rider and making it dark, and then putting Sash on POW. But that was like early on. I feel like that was definitely one of the strong variants.
Mhm. I think it can be very difficult for the Tornurse variants to be stable into all the different Miraidon teams. And that's part of why we've seen that drop off a lot. Tornado is still a very strong Pokemon, but we've seen if you're running Speed Control Mon, it's usually Whimsicott now, I think. And yeah, it's just hard to put two electric leaks on the field next to each other as your two non CSR Zamazenta as your two non CSR Zamazenta Mons. And so yeah, this mode did fall off a little bit. This is the one that I think a lot of people honed into before Milwaukee as well, and it really did not do well at Milwaukee because it's had the best results going into Milwaukee, and that might have thrown people off the wrong path because, of course, going into Milwaukee regionals, we all thought this was the boogeyman, and then at Milwaukee regionals, it did nothing, and everyone is like, "What is happening with this archetype? Why is it not performing?" Don't worry, every single other event from then on, it did do very well. So, yeah, I think it would just be people being on the wrong variant, which is this variant that we have on screen that you see Keanu using at Milwaukee.
Man, nobody cracking top 32 with this archetype. Please take me back. Please take me back. I would love to just not have to worry as much about the 68 different variants we're going to cover after this point. I will say what this team was aiming to do, in my opinion, was one, kind of like blend the strengths of Zamazenta teams and Shadow Rider teams from previous formats, putting Chen Pao in there with Zamazenta to make Zamazenta more potent on its own, or at least when it's not providing cover fire for Shadow Rider. And then the Tornadus was there to keep the Koraidon teams at bay. Koraidon a lot more popular and successful in the early Regulation I metagame, and so having a way to be one step ahead of their weather was pretty important. And I think that Sun teams otherwise were giving these teams a bit of trouble, so that's why Rain Dance Torn ended up being a big factor. But
Also,
go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, as far as like the Milwaukee performance, and at that time in the meta, you said like none of them broke top 32. Like I think it was super respected, and this is a
Yes.
common thing we'll see with Shadow Rider Zamazenta is because it is so strong, it gets respected by the meta, and then it doesn't do super well. So yeah, it's just like the wheel. But like even like the first place, like the team that Andrew Ding used, like, you have AV Miraidon, Fairy Lunala, Grimmsnarl, Ensign, and Ursa Luna. Those are like all things that you are not going to be able to Astral Barrage through. Like the second place, Dylan's team, I got rolled by that in Swiss at that tournament, like with Scarf Miraidon. Even then, like he was beating Shadow Rider Zama with it. So like I feel like it was pretty respected at Milwaukee. And also the best builds of it hadn't been figured out either.
Well, we have this question in the chat before we move on to talking about one of the next ones. I'll pose it to you guys. But do you guys think that there might be like a comeback for Koraidon to kind of rise up and beat these Shadow Rider Zama teams, or are they pretty resilient to Koraidon now? What do you think? Audie, I'll throw it to you first.
I think there's room for Koraidon to. I mean, first off, I wouldn't even call it a comeback for Koraidon. I think Koraidon's been present in the metagame. It won a regional, it got second at another regional. And both those regionals, it had to go through a field of CSR Zamazenta. So yeah, I don't think it's gone anywhere. But yeah, I think that Koraidon having the ability to run uh Pokemon that are like a photosynthesis mon that's naturally faster than CSR, be it a Fluttermane, be it a Walking Wake, be it whatever, is really, really good. And the fact that Koraidon can get faster than a CSR after a Flame Charge and threaten Zamazenta is really good. And just like naturally is I always want to say it's one of the better matchups, although I do think that it inherently is just unstable, which is the nature of like the CSR mirror. I do think that it actually generally has a pretty decent matchup into a lot of these CSR Zamazenta teams, but yeah, that's kind of my impression of it. Is I think it definitely has an opportunity, and the weakness of Koraidon teams is not CSR Zamazenta. Mom, what do you think?
I agree completely. I think a lot of Koraidon's typical partners, like Chi Yu or even like Brute Bonnet, although it's fallen off a bit, like those are pretty scary for Shadow Riders Zamazenta teams, and even uh just like in general, I feel like its matchup versus Shadow Riders Zamazenta is usually fine, and that is not the thing. I mean, I haven't played a ton of Koraidon, but I get the impression that it's kind of fighting other things that is its issue more so than the Shadow Riders Zamazenta.
Got it. Got it. Um, so I guess let's keep moving along the timeline here, and I guess I'm gonna do it tournament by tournament here because I think that might be an easier way to follow along. Did Melbourne bring any new ones to light? Lewis Tan did well with a version here that I'm not sure if it ended up being put in the list here, but I don't know if
It's
that one. Oh yeah, there it is in the Amoongus versions. Um, quite a few of them. And what's shortly after Melbourne? Oh, Utrecht. Okay, Utrecht, which Lewis Markle. I think this is the biggest one that uh, came afterwards. Because we saw that they did it well in VR. It was doing well initially, and then it had a very bad Milwaukee. But once Utrecht came around and Lewis Markle got second, this version, it definitely started to pick up. I don't know if it had any other huge successes outside of Lewis here, but um, yeah, this one, I guess the thing that separates it from the other ones is it's got the grass spam element, and it has like Helping Hand Ensign paired with Terra Dark Shadow Rider, which could be really scary for either, setting up and doing insane amounts of damage by turn two or doing damage right out the gate.
Yeah. I think also the difference, as we'll see once we get to it later, but between this and say like, Marco's standard version is that Urshifu becomes Raging Bolt. So I think it is interesting that this team kept Urshifu when a lot of times, as we'll see, it gets dropped in these Shadow Riders Zama variants. Just saying no, like, hey, double fake out plus this thing that hits through protect is still good. I think also Scarverse just still outspeeds a lot of the meta.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think this is just proving like, double fake out Shadow Rider with Life Orb, like not with Sash, like is still very strong. Like when this happened, it's like, oh, we can just still do that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Nasty plot,
Mhm.
protect, switch to your other fake
Hmm.
out, nasty plot again, or attack. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so that loop. Audie, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, and even it's also oppressive because it's not relying on speed control at all, right? Your Calyrex is naturally fast, Samacenta is naturally fast, and then everything else has a priority move pretty much. I mean, in this case, Urshifu, the Marco had a Raging Bolt, like you said, over the Urshifu. In which case, on that variant, you're running double Fake Out, you're running double Grassy Glide, you have and you have a Thunderclap, right? So all your mons don't really care about speed, except for CSR. And so if you are trying to outpace these teams, they're just going to say, okay, well, I'm just going to use priority moves into you, and trade that way. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's really impressive. It's really strong. I think that genuinely the toughest part for me about this team is that you can't trade damage because as soon as you get low, you're just going to get chipped off by one of the every single CSR partner can just chip away at whatever Pokemon is under 20%. And the CSR is so good at getting things down to 20, 30% into range for a Grassy Glide or Thunderclap, especially because of that Helping Hand on Incineroar that if you're good at this team and you know what ranges you have to get to and you know your win conditions are, it's very easy to get things into range of any of your other attackers with CSR and then really effectively pin your opponent with the priority move plus Astral Barrage.
I'm gonna bounce off of a comment in the Twitch chat here from Drago Blaze saying Raging Bolt really helps against other CSRs, and say that just in general, the priority moves, I feel like a number of tools on this team make the mirrors probably a little more stable, especially against like the Sash ones. You can just Astral Barrage them down to one, and you don't have to worry about hitting that next speed tie or anything like that to really decide the game. If you could position Grassy Glide or Thunderclap across from it, I feel like that makes the not only that, but you have Wide Guard, you have Terra Dark, like you just have a number of ways to not let the game come down to a speed tie, and that probably makes things feel a lot more stable.
Yeah. Also, if we look at like where, like going back to the Luis version at Utrecht, I feel like at that point in the meta, where it had popped up in response to was like these Grim Snarl, Grimsnarl, Miraidon, Ice Rider Lunala had just won um, in the US. So it's like having that ability to nasty plot like through those teams and just hit through the screens and the damage mitigation. I feel like is kind of important. Like at the time, some of the Sash Shadow Rider versions I think struggle with having enough firepower to get through some of those teams. Where with that double fake out version, you can just kind of plot your way through it.
Right. Yeah, that this is very much the triangle that I'd love to talk about, where it's just like, yeah, heavy defense, like these screen teams are really going to suffer against setup teams, and they eventually end up taking that to the next level with Smeargle giving other options of as to how you might set up. But for the meantime, like this team, like from Lewis here, was just a fine way to give your team that extra power it needed to power to muscle through damage reduction. So next up, then we have. Let's see. I mean, I guess I should go back to the tournaments. Oh yeah, here we go. Because I feel like that was the one that made the biggest impact from this tournament. I don't think any other ones had as many eyes on them. We go over to Santiago. Juan Salerno using the version that I think Santiago, was it not the same weekend as Utrecht as well?
Yes, it and Melbourne and Utrecht were all the same weekend.
Oh, okay. Crazy weekend, dude.
That was a big one.
But yeah, this is like the Amoongus version of those balanced ones. So instead of like Tor and Ursh, it still has some of the same guys, but this is Sash Shadow Rider, and I feel like Sash is definitely falling off quite a bit now. But I don't know. I guess what do you guys think about Sash's like? I guess what we haven't talked as much about Sash as we have about Life Orb, I feel.
Yeah, I think. Well, also it was around this exact time of this regional that this started popping up on ladder. I think there were some Japanese players that were using this and building this version, and I was just like, I think a better version of some of those early attempts at Sash Shadow Rider, or I guess more suited for the meta, where it's like, hey, I don't need Tornadus, I just need priority, like in the form of Raging Bolt, and redirection is good with things like Amoongus. So I think this team just feels like priority to the max. In my opinion, like every turn, it feels like you have some kind of call you can make. Like you have oftentimes doubles that are like KOing certain opponents. So I think it's more like Sash Shadow Rider kind of enables these cool partners, and also like it doesn't need to Terra as much as the other one. Like it can Terra, but it just has some things going for it over the Life Orb one. But
I think that Calyrex Shadow is like the strongest support Pokemon in the format if you want it to be. It has so many different moves. You can use Encore, Disable, Pollen Puff. We saw Leech Seed substitute at NAIC on Koraidon team. So it really just has infinite options, and it's only really allowed to use those options if it has a Focus Sash, I think. And so I do think that the Sash variants have a lot of merit and get to play in a very different way. And yeah, like you said, I think it is a little cyclical in some ways, especially since the Sash variants can struggle into the Life Orb Terra Dark variants. They don't get any damage into them. But otherwise, I think they're better into the field, honestly. And so we saw this version that Juan used. We saw Montana, you used the exact same 6, slightly different sets to top 8 Portland. And also this exact same 6 got second place at Bologna Regionals as well. So I think this is definitely a version that was very, very common throughout the format, although was not really seen at NAIC. Montana, you've been using this more than either of us. Why do you think these 6 didn't perform at NAIC, and do you think it has staying power moving forward?
Definitely more than me.
I think well, yeah, and also I had used it. I can't remember where in relation to the timeline, but before Portland, I had used it in there was like the Grand Challenge as well, and it was awesome in close sheet. because when people weren't as familiar with it, surprising them with the Sash Shadow Rider. Also, I had Ghost Zamazenta in closed team sheet, but switched to Fire for best of 3 and beating Crydon. But yeah, I had dropped it for NAIC, like in part because it just felt hard to like punch through some different variants. Like it's like that classic issue of like your damage ceiling is going to be lower um than the life orb ones. I think it like I don't know, these other pieces around the Shadow Rider are so good that I think it does have staying power, and like we could see it resurge again, but I think people just have to figure out how to beat certain matchups. And also playing versus some of the Dark Shadow Rider variants in the mirror is very hard. Just like they get to Astral Barrage a lot more, like they get so much, they win that damage trade a lot. Like your barrage is just doing nothing to them. So I think like if people can figure out the mirror and hitting through like certain matchups, I think Grimmsnarl falling off is actually kind of good for it. But like thinking about how this team has to like try and hit Assault Vest and Incineroar, for example, you have to use the Zamazenta. If Zamazenta dies, you just have like nothing into that. Like I think there's just some tricky aspects that people are gonna have to figure out. But I do think it's possible. Like I think the Tinglu version is also strong. It's just like a trade off. But we've seen that's in the Rillaboom slot. But I think it's just like trading some matchups for other matchups. But I think people building this will just have to figure some stuff out. But it could be good again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With respect to Tinglu, I think when I was talking to Tommy Cooley and Justin Burns about their NAIC team, they said they started with Tinglu, and they said, "Why are we bringing this Pokemon if we can't actually bring it to CSR Zamazenta?" So I'm a little skeptical of Tinglu based on their testing and what its use cases are. But with regards to the other version with the Rillaboom on it, what you mentioned the AV Incineroar problem, and that was the most striking thing about the finals of Bologna, which was the mirror match CSR Zama team, except one of them had the Life Orb variant, and one of them had the Focus Sash variant that we had on screen, Ruben Gianzini. And Ruben got turn 1 right, I feel like, in game 1 and game 2. And then Mateo just brought AV Incin in and cleaned up the game once that Zamazenta went down. And it felt like Mateo could trade off whatever tools he wanted as long as he got rid of that Zamazenta as early as possible, and then we just win with the Incineroar. And so, yeah, I do think that's a really big concern is how do you beat that AV Incineroar when it has Flare Blitz? It can be very, very problematic for some of these CSR Zama teams. And as far as going counterplay to CSR Zama goes, AV Incin was going into NAIC the piece of counterplay that I had like highest on my list in terms of what was effective into standard teams. And then Smeargle picked up, which we'll talk about in a second. And all of a sudden that became, I think, a lot less effective. So yeah, the how to beat CSR Zama also keeps rotating with all the different teams that keep popping up.
Yes, good luck beating them all.
No, there's no way. There's no way. It's just depressing. It pisses me off. I mean, like Lorenzo's team here also has like Clefairy, and that also plays quite differently than some of the other ones. Like, you're used to maybe being able to spread move past these redirection partners that Shadow Rider is finding itself next to, like Ogerpon or Amoonguss or whatever. And certain spread moves can still muscle through, but it feels like with Clefairy next to it, some of them start to bounce off. If it's like a Dazzling Gleam that's not super effective, if it's a Glacial Lance, these attacks can be a lot less scary for a Shadow Rider when it has Friend Guard paired with it. And so just some very small, not very small, but like smaller changes, moving a couple of Pokemon around on the team and trying out some different things can really change how you have to play against it, which is what makes this archetype so deadly. Let's see. Yeah, and then this one, there's so many came out of this tournament, of course, because what else is going to happen when there's a tournament hosted in Italy? But a lot of Shadow Rider Zamas popping up. And this one, I'll be honest, I don't think it had a lot of staying power. I don't think a lot of people ended up sticking with the Whimsicott approach to Shadow Rider Zama, and notably this one is running Substitute. It's running the team a lot more like a offensive team than like something that can play balance elements, like Tailwind offense, I guess. Not that labels are that important. It's just yeah, it's definitely one that I don't think we saw a lot of later on. Let me double check though if there was any like Shadow Rider Zama plus Whimsicott
Yeah,
specifically. Go
that
ahead.
was the Matty Moo used that, I think. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Um,
Same stuff
and
then.
Round.
same team. I think Matty and Max probably worked together. They're both Irish.
Right.
Um, and I think Ink was on this team too. I think he made day 2 of NAIC, but we were talking to him before, and he seemed really into this variant as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It reminds me a lot of there's a Reg G team that was this, but with Urshifu, I believe, or maybe it didn't have a POW, but it was like Wims, Bolt, Firepon, Shadow Rider, Urshifu, and it's just like carrying a lot of those same strengths. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
seen those Pokemon a lot before, even on like Miraidon compositions. Like they're just really solid, offering support and offensive options. Also, Fake Tears is cool. Um, yeah, I have not tried this team, but I imagine Substitute definitely is a very interesting move. Like you don't see that a lot on the other variants, but you do on this one.
Mm-hmm. Right. That is the main thing that I feel like is separating. And on top of that, like you do still have the ability to kind of like turn on the gas if you so choose with Fake Tears on Whimsicott. It doesn't work on everything like Clear Amulet or Dark type Pokemon, but um, it can also be used to kind of pair with your Raging Bolt and um, yeah. So with that though, Bologna was the last tournament going to NAIC, and that kind of um wraps up all the different variants except for the last one, right? We talked about the double redirection one, and like Marco ended up being the best finishing Shadow Rider Zamazenta player at the tournament. So we talked a bit about that archetype already. And I guess the timeline it doesn't actually end with NAIC. Of course, we're gonna have to go beyond that for like Japan Nats. Um, but yeah, we talked a lot about these ones, early tournaments, and so yeah, finally the most annoying Pokemon since the beginning. You know, April VR. Here's Smeargle. I don't actually know if this one was decorated. It was not. And so Tabu didn't have it quite completely figured out from the very beginning, but once this team came to the meta, like I don't know, everything got a lot less fun. Is how I'll put it.
So Smeargle had seen some usage prior to this, like we said in that VR team, but also I think Torviv had it a bit earlier on Rillaboom Incineroar Smeargle. I know he used it at NAIC, but I think there was a tournament even before that
Mhm.
Right.
where he
He
used it. I
cut
don't
Bologna
remember.
with it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I had seen it before. But I think Smeargle was especially well positioned going into NAIC, and a lot of people picked up on that, not just on Shadow Riders on Mazenta, but like Smeargle was on a bunch of different teams. Like it just had that nice I feel like a nice speed tier. And then obviously, I think the big innovation here is the decorate, and being able to decorate your Shadow Rider, decorate your Raging Bolt, decorate your Tornadus. Like they're all good partners when you need to just break through things. Like one of the fun things about this team is versus like Tropicos, which could sometimes be tricky for some Shadow Rider variants. Like you just kind of get to decorate Bleakwind through them. So there's a lot of cool things, or even your Shadow Rider you can protect and decorate yourself, and well, if they doubled your Shadow Rider, it's just like good game. Or like yeah, it's like there's just so many options. The Smeargle is good for the Shadow Riders on Mazenta Mirror even without wide guard, forcing them to do something like Psychic to hit you, like with their Astral Barrage not being able to even damage the Smeargle. Like it has a lot of spore pressure versus those teams. So I think it was just very well positioned, and obviously Kinigawa played amazing, and built a very cool team. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe Aaron and Marcus were also part of the group that worked with Kinagawa, from what I remember. Aaron Trailer and Marcus Haman. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, the this team is just so strong, and I don't know. It annoys me because Decorate was supposed to be Ice Rider's thing. Like if you guys just can't let us have anything, bringing it back to the yin and yang horses. But no, it is just a very strong thing, and the thing about this team that surprises me the most is that it's not surprising in one respect, which is that like why why wasn't Smeargle just like top dog from the very start? Like we knew that going into double restricted formats, like Smeargle tends to do well in double restricted formats. It tends to do better the higher the power level goes, especially because um a Sash Pokemon is bulky in a restricted format a lot of the times. Like if something is 2-hit KOing you, that is fine because Shadow Rider's 2-hit KOing everything with Life Orb Astral Barrage anyways or whatnot. But I'm curious if you guys have any answers. Like I have some of my own answers, but I would love to hear yours as to like why you think Smeargle wasn't running the show from the very beginning. Adi, what do you think?
Good question.
If you don't have an answer, I can throw it to Mont. That's okay.
I have a theory.
Mont, go ahead.
Go for it.
I think because Miraidon was so prevalent and has been since the start of the format, people are kind of nervous to try to go in all in on Smeargle or even all in on Amoonguss. I think Amoongus's usage was like pretty low at the beginning too, but then people kind of like learned, well, these things can work even on Miraidon or in formats where Miraidon is pretty prevalent. I think stuff like the Decorate still gives your Smeargle stuff to do, like very impactful stuff to do even when electric terrain is on the field. And of course this team has the Rillaboom, so you can always do the like switch in Rillaboom and Spore You anyway play. But I feel like Miraidon did kind of just scare off some of the Spore users pretty early on before people kind of figured out like, oh yeah, you can just still use them and they are still good. At least that's I feel like that's part of it. Also, I think Smeargle was abusing some of the speed trends that were like kind of happening around that time in the format. Like take like the MDB team, like really slow stuff, like slow Landorus, for example, where it's like, okay, if you go under 139, I'm just going to Spore You. Like things like that, where maybe at the very beginning of the format we hadn't hit that bulky point yet, and then you started to get slower, and then it's like, well, Smeargle's going to Spore You, and then Smeargle comes around, and then people maybe start speeding stuff up again. But I think it was taking advantage of that too.
Right.
Yeah. I think that people just weren't using it. Like I don't know why people weren't using it. But people weren't using it early format. I think it would have really crushed early format events as well because all these people are on like Grimmsnarl stuff, right? Like Hoa was a thing, and Hoa just underspeed Smeargle, stuff like that. Where it's just like like you said, MDB team that was everything was like 122 speed or lower than that. So and the thing about Smeargle is that it's kind of weak to things that when it can get double tapped by two Pokemon that are faster than it doesn't have much control of what it's doing. But when you have one Pokemon that's slower than it, even if the other one's faster than it, then it gets a Decorate off or a Spore off guarantee. And that's when it goes crazy. And so when a format starts to, you get to see like, oh, well, everyone wants to lead the Grimmsnarl into these teams. Everyone has all these slower options. Then all of a sudden, Smeargle really gets to pop off. And so I think it would have been a really good call into the Milwaukee metagame as well. Now, moving forward, we see more like, we see some like Taunt Chenpao, like on Maddie's team, for example. So we're seeing like more counterplay to it starting to pop up. But yeah, I think it was a really strong early metagame tech. And even now, it's still resilient, partially because, like I said, 20% chance it just gets a speed boost, and then it takes over a game anyways. And so it's a really hard mon to consistently beat, even if people are teching out for it. But yeah, I think it really found the perfect spot in the metagame where people were just slowing down, trying to get bulky, trying to take all these crazy strong attacks. And then Smeargle comes in and says, actually, I'm going to outspeed you and overpower you with Decorate. And it was just like the perfect timing for it going into NASE.
You guys heard that rumor that if you bring Smeargle to Worlds, they're going to like DQ you day of, but they're not going to announce the rule. Like it's just a rumor. Like then you can't change your team. If you have Smeargle on your team, they're going to DQ you. That's the rumor that I've been hearing is that they're going to do. So it's probably safer to just not bring Smeargle to Worlds.
I think they said that there will be a 20% chance that you won't be DQ'd.
Oh wait, okay, I'll take those odds any day. Because like if you're one of the players that does get to run Smeargle, that's a free win. They'll break your Switch. Good thing I have a Switch too. I have a backup plan.
I feel like it does get a little worse when people are thinking about Smeargle a lot. Like you'll start to, speed up your Pokemon, or like Adi said, put taunt on things. Like taunt Chi and Pow was it was already like pretty prevalent. I think it's just going to continue to be more prevalent for that reason, or even like maybe prankster taunt on things. Although Smeargle's Terra does make it, I think, a little hard to tech for, and that like maybe it'll start going dark or ghost, but at least for the prankster taunt.
Right.
But yeah, it's still always going to be kind of annoying.
And it can do, I mean, different things if it ever chooses to. Decorate's probably one of the most impactful moves that it runs on the set, but if it ever wants to, it can run Wide Guard, it can run Protect, it can run, obviously not Protect, but like Spiky Shield or some version of Protect. But and then every other move that's legal that it's allowed to learn. I mean, you can't learn Dark Void anymore, but it can probably find some other annoying thing that could really counter a specific archetype if it so chooses. You could run Taunt on it. Somebody mentioned in the chat, yeah, taunt for the mirror, but you'd have to win the speed tie or get the speed boost. Just get the speed boost and then taunt them. Easy GG. Although sporing them is
Well, at
probably
that point, just run
fucking...
Imprison.
Oh,
Decorate.
Oh, transform. Good shout. Good shout.
Imprison, Glacial, Astral.
Okay, wait. That's actually pretty cool. You don't even have to click Wide Guard anymore. Job's done. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the like history of how we got to the 8 different versions of Shadow Rider Zama that you can use now. And like there are a bunch of like slight variations in between these teams. Like, I'm not gonna look at Yuma's Kinagawa's team here and say that this is with 100% different than the Hearthflame version over here in Victory Road. Like, there are going to be elements that remain similar between the two of them. We were literally just talking about this. Mon said Terra Dark, and I said Spiky Shield. Like, yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you can tweak it. Terra Normal in the Shadow Rider. Oh god. But yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can tech out the team and change its matchup spread little by little with different changes like that. But ultimately, I guess, where is it going from here? Like, I would say that it's probably still one of the strongest, like top 1 or 2 archetypes going into the World Championships. And I don't know. I guess I'll throw it over to you, Mont. Like, how do you think that the pairing is looking going into Worlds?
I think it's like still looking pretty strong. I think obviously it is still well respected in the meta. Like everyone, I think, is willing, and the teams have like, other archetypes might dramatically change their team just to give yourself a matchup into Shadow Rider Zamazenta. So I think that's like a sign of just how strong it is. That being said, I don't think anyone is able to give themselves like a crazy matchup into like, like 80-20 matchup into Shadow Rider Zamazenta without like doing something weird that's probably going to lose to a bunch of other stuff. So I think that's kind of its strength. One of its strengths is like at most your opponent's probably going to have like a slightly like positive matchup versus you, but also because it's such a known and such like a targeted archetype, people will probably have like had a lot of practice and run a lot of lines into Shadow Rider Zamazenta variants like yours if you're not too different from the known ones. So I think that's kind of its biggest weakness is the target on its back, but I don't think that's closing the casket on it. It's like even when it has a target on its back, if someone is playing it well enough, like if Marco rolls up with Shadow Rider Zamazenta again, like I'm sure he can make a super deep run with it. So yeah, it's like targeted, but I don't think that means it's like bad and shouldn't be used. It's kind of annoying.
Howdy, what about you?
Yeah, I think that you're right. I think it's one of the top 2 archetypes right now, along with Marauder and Ice Rider. It is going to have a target on its back, but there's enough different variants that they all kind of lose to different things, and we have enough time before Worlds that people have room to figure out new ways to play the team. Right? We've seen how the team has developed over time. We've seen 4 different broad variants, and honestly, you could probably expand that to 6 or 7 different variants, and all of them have different weaknesses. So it's going to be really hard to prepare for all of them. Is the person like, I think there are going to be some fantastic team builders at Worlds who do figure out their CSR Zama to match up, and maybe someone really cracks the code and figures out how to break the metagame and beats everything consistently. But I think that if you wanted to build a CSR Zama team to beat that, you could do it too. And so it's never going to go away. It's always going to be around. It's a question of how well it does. And we did see it flop last year. CSR did. So maybe it flops again, but I would not bet on it.
I'm praying for it though every day. Every day I'm praying.
I will say
Mm-hmm.
a difference from last year is I think that the mirror now is a little less toxic. It's quite a bit less toxic than it was in Reg G, or thinking about where it fit into the meta then, if that makes sense. Like I feel like there's enough variance and there's enough people not running it that like it doesn't feel as bad as it did last year. Maybe I'll play Worlds this year and I'll eat those words if I end up running it and fighting much of the mirror or something. But I don't know. It does feel maybe a little better. Yeah, who knows?
If I've seen Mons grout on Kyogre team, it's looking good.
You weren't supposed to leak that.
Oh, well, we can delete this. We can delete it. Actually,
yeah.
Killing the stream. We'll be right back.
So,
hold on, you're not live, Adi. No, Adi, you're not live.
what beats CSR Zama?
Oh no, you really went not live for the bit. Oh my gosh,
we're back.
You're the stream. Okay. Continue, Adi. Continue.
I was gonna say the thing that I think everyone wants to hear is what actually beats CSR Zama, which is something that we both tested a decent amount. You've played more than I have, but I kind of wanted to run through some of the things people are using to beat it, and also some of the ways that CSR teams are kind of beating the counterplay. And so I'm happy to start talking about some of the things people are using, unless you want to. What are we thinking?
No, definitely launch into it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was talking to Torviv, I remember he said that Smeargle was really for the mirror. He said that was an option that just made the mirror a lot better. If you have wide guard, I think the mirror becomes especially good because it's very hard for the CSR to really get ground. But Smeargle is one of the tools that I think is kind of questionable if you don't have wide guard, because you can just get outpaced. You can just throw a priority move and a thing that's faster than it and knock it out. But having a normal type that dissuades them from clicking Astral Barrage and having a way to ramp faster is a potential way to beat the CSR Zama, depending on how you tech your Smeargle out. I guess it can really be built to beat anything. You can run Imprisoned Astral Barrage if you really want to win the mirror. I think Volcarona is a way that people are teching out or teching out for CSR Zama. If a well-supported Volcarona not only really walls Zama, but if it gets a Quiver Dance or two up, it can outspeed and do a lot of damage into CSR. So that's a way that we've seen this pick up quite a bit, and I think this is a response to CSR Zama being quite good. So that's one way that people are using to beat it. Scarf Miraidon, as we see on this team as well, is also picking up. And when I was testing it before Nats, Scarf Miraidon felt like single best mon on Miraidon teams into the CSR Zama matchup, because now your Miraidon not only gets to run bulk to tank attacks from these guys, but also gets to outspeed and really put up more effective pins on CSR and Zama. So that's another version of Miraidon that I think is really good. And then the last mod is for Farigiraf, which is also on Miraidon teams, I guess. I think is one of the it's kind of dropped off in usage, but I do think that Farig being able to tank attacks from CSR when they're Psychic Astral quite well, tank attacks from Zama with the Electric Seed, set up Trick Room and really just invert the speed tiers and block all those priority moves that everyone is running. So many priority moves. All of a sudden, that means that your other Pokemon can have a chance to take over the game a little more. So those are my 4 things that I think are the mons that have stood out to me as ways to tech out for the mirror or tech out for CSR Zama a little bit. But I'm curious if you guys have other mons or other thoughts on those Pokemon and what they do in the CSR Zama matchup.
I would say that those are some very good ones, of course, definitely. And adding on to the Giraffe one, like I think it is probably, because we talked about Smeargle being the most recent, maybe most potent one in recent times. Giraffe is just so strong into that. The fact that, yeah, it's often paired with Miraidon, and if they have to, do that play that Mont was talking about earlier to use their Rillaboom to get off Spore with their
Very passive.
Smeargle, it's very passive, yes. And so that like Giraffe denying those options. Foul play, technically a punish a decorate too. It won't always come up, but it does technically exist. But yeah, mostly it's just the fact that this is a Pokemon that walls out Shadow Rider and Zama and sets Trick Room in general being very good. Lunala, not the most like stable, but not the most unstable Pokemon against Shadow Rider Zama. It kind of has like the option to like not lose at all times if you just want to say like, all right, don't astral me, please. Like you can stop that at any time. Of course, the mind games come when as we saw in the NAIC finals, when they decide to psychic you instead and get value against your other target, and then you decide not to wide guard, and then they decide to astral barrage, and then you decide to wide guard, and it's of course an endless loop, but at the very least, it's a tool. It's a tool that lets you do something into the Shadow Rider. Not to mention that, yeah, the Terra Fairy Electric Seed, kind of like Volcarona, can easily eat up attacks from the two restricteds if it comes down to it. What about you, Mont? Any guys that you think deserve a shout as like being especially strong into Shadow Rider Zama?
Yeah, I think you all covered the main ones, but like Ensign, I think Ensign, Assault Vest, especially like if you can clear the Zamazenta or give it some kind of support, it's just very hard for a lot of the Shadow Rider variants to break. And obviously, Bug resisting body press is awesome too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very good. And then they're like kind of, I feel like have fallen off a bit, but I still feel like some of the Sun partners, or even not even on Sun, but like Chi-Yu and Brute Bonnet, just like, I mean, you'll see a common theme here, which is dark types, but can still be pretty annoying. Like Chi-Yu, Scarf Chi-Yu still threatens both Shadow Rider and Zamazenta a lot. And Brute Bonnet, when it has booster, it can live some very funny body press double ups.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe two like less good now options, but I think still strong. Probably less real than some of the other ones mentioned.
I can't believe Adi didn't mention Ho-Oh. Adi, of course, you of all people have to mention Ho-Oh. Where's the Ho-Oh mention?
That's true. No, the Ho team that with I mean honestly Graph is a big part of that game plan. But yeah, the Ho team, Ho being very good into Zamazenta, having a chance to take its attack, potentially burn it, and then having the special defense to take attacks from CSR is a way that you could potentially beat this team. Although I think Ho kind of sucks, so I wouldn't you know I wouldn't suggest you should use this at Worlds, but if you do use it at Worlds, power to you. Hopefully, you win the CSR Zama matchups that you were hoping to face.
Do you think Banded Ho-Oh with Tropius gives you a stable CSR Zama matchup?
Like probably, right? You have wide guard? No, you don't have wide guard.
It
What's the
does.
Tropius doing?
Tropius, I've got it on screen.
Oh, it has
Hopefully
wide guard. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and the room
Okay.
service.
I think it's probably pretty good, right? You got wide guard.
Yeah.
You got ways to hit these guys.
Tropius full walls Ice Rider. The like any set. The Leech Seed one or the high horsepower one, it just full walls.
That's awesome.
It's immune to Leech Seed and high horsepower.
Yeah, I feel like Ho was always annoying for Shadow Rider Zamazenta, but like you said, I think it just gets eviscerated by the rest of the meta right now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like all the other top teams are probably pretty positive into it.
I think one last like very specific shout. I was helping a coaching student try to develop a counter team to CSR Zama for like a tournament match, and I was like, I feel like the Electric Seed Pagos one has got to be one of the most annoying teams for specifically Shadow Rider Zama. I don't know. I mean, like, Chicha did well enough to get top 8 NAIC with this team after doing very well in Bologna with it as well. So it's a team that has merit in other matchups, but I feel like it especially targets Shadow Rider Zama well. And yeah, I'm hoping that that's accurate because it just does seem very annoying from the matches I've seen this team play where you can take a body press on your, Terra Shell. You can take another one if you have to because of the +1 from Electric Seed, and then pair that with Sinistra healing you up, and this Focus Sash, meaning that it always survives one Astral Barrage and can redirect another body press or whatever Zamazenta decides to do afterwards. there's a lot of elements here that just make it very depressing for CSR Zama teams.
Yep. I think that they said it was a targeted meta call at Bologna to beat all the CSR Zama Center teams they expected to face. So it definitely is a bit of a counter team, especially with the Assault Best Summer Ride on. I mean, this team just gets so it's so hard for CSR Salmon to make progress into a team like this. It's just not doing enough damage and getting outpaced, getting out. It's not getting enough momentum into these into this Terapagos, into this Miraidon, into this Sinistcha, into this Incineroar. It just seems very difficult.
Also, Urshifu could probably be brought to. This has pretty good ways of forcing Terras, forcing like a Dark Terra out with Snarl and stuff. Also, I wanted to call it out specifically because we've kind of mentioned it, but I think that both Miraidon items that are not specs, like we already talked about Scarf being good, but I also think Assault Vest is pretty good. Maybe a little less so than Scarf is, but I think both of those are better into Shadow Rider Zama than specs.
Yes.
I mean, you do start to miss out some KOs in certain situations, but I feel like the trade-off is usually worth it.
They both play defensively, either Scarf a defense through offense approach by outspeeding the Shadow Rider and KOing it before you even have to take a hit, or Assault Vest just taking hits much better, of course.
Yeah, but either way, it's like you can't just get to +2 and then Astral Barrage the specs one and it's dead. And it's like,
yes. Well. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So yeah, those are all some good ways to deal with this toxic archetype. But I did hear that they are not giving Worlds kits to anybody that does lock this in to for the World Championships. So I mean, if you're willing to give that up just to win, like sure, whatever.
all this meta manipulation.
What else is this for? What else is it? Why else would we host Top Takes? That was actually what Adi sat down with me, like, you know, when we started. He was like, how can we like influence our will on all the sheeple? He said it. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah.
And then that's when you offered me, like, what was it, the money, so that I would say that Shadow Rider Zamazenta is bad so that people wouldn't use it. But then I said, no, like that would be dishonest for me to say that. So
I don't think you realize that where all of our takes are just kind of manipulating the meta so that our Kira White team can win the world championships. It's just gonna we're just trying to get the metagame to be perfectly positioned, and that means you can't use CSR Samazeta. So please don't use CSR Samazeta. I want to win worlds with Kiram.
I was laddering the other day and I played against Kyurem White Zacian, and they beat me with just the Kyurem White, like in 2 games. They didn't even bring the Zacian, and I was just getting destroyed with what I was trying out. I was like, oh, okay, sure. I guess back to the drawing board. If you want to beat me at Worlds, bring Kyurem White and Zacian, I guess. But you don't even need to bring the Zacian. You can run whatever else.
play right G.
That does sound like Adi now that you say it out loud. I agree. That's how he talks behind when he's not on stream. All right. Well, I guess we have enough time to play Calcus right here at the very end, if there's nothing else to say about CSR Zama. And yeah, we haven't played in a minute, so why not? Let's do it. I was curious about that Tachyon Cutter Calc, so I'll start us off, and if you guys have one afterwards, we can follow up with that. But yeah, let's just say max. Hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the thing for Iron Crown here. We can all look at it together. But I remember that it can't run max special attack to get a speed boost, right? And I'm gonna say that this one had a speed boost. So I guess whatever, 176 special attack. Iron Crown here. How much is it doing to max HP Smeargle? No defense. It's just max HP Smeargle. Tachyon Cutter from this Iron Crown. Not Life Orb, by the way. It's going to be Electric Seed, so no item effect. How much is that Tachyon Cutter doing to Smeargle?
Yeah, I got a number. I think I know this. I have a good vibe on this one because I'm pretty sure we considered this at before Atlanta Regionals when it ended up winning.
Okay, I came up with one.
All right. Well, Mont, you seem more confident, so we'll start with you.
I feel like it's right around KOing, but I don't know. I'm just gonna go 100 because I think
all right,
it's gonna be a range.
Okay. Adi.
I'm pretty sure this stocks out. I'm gonna say 115%.
All right, you're confident. Let's see. So Smeargle, I think it's going to default to. Actually, I think the slow decorate one should have the spread that I'm looking for. We're not looking for 4 here, but otherwise should be good. And yeah, I think Mont took the safe bet, but actually, this is a lot less likely to kill than I would like to see. That is quite sad.
Wait, can you
H-
try on like the 20 HP one? Or
Yeah, the one that I think it runs like
40?
just 12. 12, which seems to be a 100% chance to get. I think that was the one that MDB popularized at one point, something like this.
Mhm.
But it
But
does
actually,
stink knowing like if they just do max HP, it's like you're not gonna get it.
right. I don't even know if max defense does that much, anyways, because you don't survive surging strikes. So,
Correct.
but all right, do you guys have a calc? Either of you two?
I have one.
All right, go ahead, Mont.
Okay. Ludicolo fling
Yes.
from King's
Mhm.
Rock into no bulk Shadow Rider. Which is max speed, max special attack.
All right.
And then Ludicolo, I think,
All right, the investment in the looting.
just let's just do nothing. But like 30, you want 31 IVs.
So 31 IVs, but is it a negative nature then? Like probably like a timid or modest Ludicolo?
Well, I don't think the one we saw had any special attacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I feel like it could just easily be not a negative nate, like Jolly. Oh, well, if the Twitch chatter who said Leech Seed is to be believed.
Yeah, it was like fake out. I actually think I should be able to tell you the third move. And I mean, with it being Terra Fire, that's got to be Terra Blast, right? No, I actually don't know if that's Terra Blast. Is it Weather Ball? Oh, I think that's Weather Ball.
Well, let's
That
just say
makes sense.
neutral nature.
Okay. Yeah, because maybe it
Just
doesn't need the
no
ball.
investment. Yeah, I
I
don't
think
really
that's
know.
Weather Ball, actually.
Okay. So what's the calc now?
Fling with King's Rock.
Okay.
You better know your base power of that. Versus no bulk Shadow Rider from like just Ludicolo with no
31 IV.
EVs invested, but 31 IVs. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Remember, it's
I got
four
a number.
times.
I'm confident. Yeah.
Super effective.
All right. Pick
Um,
someone.
you both have a number?
Yeah.
Okay. Adi.
I think I think I know the base power. And I don't think it's very high. So I'm gonna say it does 60%.
Okay. Alex.
I had exactly 40, and Jimmy said it in the chat before I spoke it, so I'm gonna dodge Jimmy here. I'll take the high side, 41. And let's see.
Remember, it's 4 times super effective.
4 times. All right,
But
make
isn't
sure
it
to change
like
this.
30
Not
base
like that.
power or 20 base power is like very low.
I think it's 30. It's so low. I was so disappointed when I saw.
Did you you went and checked it?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, basic
I
sash.
don't remember the exact number.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness.
Wait, no, hold on. Maybe I might get in there. I need to put on Jolly. Jolly is neutral there.
No.
No, what was I was coping.
It's so bad. I put it in the calc and I was like, is this a bug? Because I was like, it's so low. But just because like 30 base power is just nothing.
And if they Terra, oh, it gets even less. Oh, what if they Terra Dark? Oh, dude. But
Wait,
honestly,
whoa. Can you
feel-
Terra Dark the Ludicolo? Because I forget if Fling gets the stellar boost. Or not stellar, if it gets the base power bump. I don't think that's getting the base power bump because it would
doesn't
go
seem
up
like it.
way. And that's just like a hard coded list, so it might very well not get the base power bump
Tough.
to 60.
Honestly, if they did Terra Dark their Shadow Rider in front of your Ludicolo, though, you count that as a win because they were not supposed to Terra.
Oh my gosh.
Adi, what do you got?
All right. I got a calc. We saw that Scarf Rhydon with Outrage. Remember that one?
Yeah. Yes.
So we're doing a Scarf Caridon calc. It's clicking Outrage. Let's say it's max attack Adamant. And it's clicking it into a Terra Dragon Zamazenta with 92 HP, 244 defense. And it's Terra Dragon. How much is it taking from a Choice Scarf Outrage in the Sun from Caridon?
Okay, I've got my number.
Okay, I think I've got my number.
All right. Alex, what are you thinking?
76? We got no other multipliers. I don't know.
All right, 76. And Mont, what are you thinking?
I was thinking higher. I think 92.
92. Interesting. For Scarf
Yeah,
Caridon. I don't
Just
know what the
'cause
calc
base-
is actually. I'm just
Wait,
guessing.
is Outrage 120 or 130?
120.
It's 120.
Oh, okay.
All right, you said 92 HP, but the defense was 244.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's a lot of defense. Okay. I
Yeah,
think my
yeah.
numbers would be too high. Oh well.
Right on. I guess I'll grab this one. Sure. 52. Scarf doesn't matter here. Although Scale Shot's kind of funny. It's like it's stronger, can be stronger, right?
All right. You gotta tear the Zama.
Oh, I was like, wait, did you say it was Terra Dragon and I missed it?
No,
Yeah, I was way
Terra
off.
Dragon.
Oh, okay. Am I just barely sneaking in there? Like I should have gone lower. Is
What did you
everything right? I said 76. I'm saying I barely
76?
snuck in
Yeah,
there
you're in there.
on the high end. Oh my god, I thought it was gonna go higher. Like I don't know. Wow, that's pathetic. This is outrage. You might not even hit the right target, and even if you do, you're not killing. Is it at least like comfortably one-shotting the Shadow Rider, or what are we doing here? It's one-shotting
Okay.
a Shadow Rider. So
Okay. I was trying to do like relative math from a calc that I did know, which was I knew that Caridon Scarf Dragon Claw like kills other Caridon. So I was trying to think about, well, how bulky is Zamazenta compared to Caridon? And then you have the boost. And then you have the outrage difference from Dragon Claw. And I messed it up. It's like the skateboarding meme where you do all this complicated stuff and you just hit yourself in the face.
I wonder how good does this guy do into a Zamazenta in the mirror? I don't know why I took away the Zamazenta on the left side. Whoops. With the electric seed set. I'm assuming that one runs like a defense nature. And
Wait, do you still have collision course on that set?
I do. I haven't changed it to body or I still have it. Yeah.
Or I mean, like, do they drop
Oh,
collision?
I don't remember if Leonard ran it.
Oh well, I guess it doesn't really matter for this. But...
No, flame charge flare blitz. Just no, the fighting.
Oh
move is
yeah,
just
flame
body
charge
blitz.
is important.
Okay, so yeah, body press. I mean, it makes sense to me that like yours is super effective, theirs isn't. So you're gonna be damage trading much better, but that's like really impressive. Of course, that's Impish Max. So, but even if you're not running Impish Max, it seems like you could cut a bit into that and still get a relatively safe 2-hit KO. Yeah, even on the bulkiest ones, you don't have to run a lot of defense investment to get a 2-shot with body press, which is pretty cool. It's like very low commitment. So I guess you've committed to it by running it on your team.
Within 11% of collision course is like crazy. I feel
Yeah,
because that's got the double damage.
Well, we're not adamant anymore. So that's definitely holding
True.
the collision force damage.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's it for this one. Let us know in the comments here or on YouTube if you guys liked the coverage that we did and if we should continue to do this. Because also, if you hate it, we don't have to. I mean, next week we would only be covering Ice Rider Miraidon, which I don't know if we know anybody that would like to talk about that or could help us cover that one. So,
so you guys gotta really want it, which means you guys gotta really comment saying you want it. That's how this goes.
Because then we'll have to, find somebody to talk about it. And yeah, thanks Mont for being on, for coming on and talk about Shadowrunner Zama. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Um, the Shadowrunner Zama hobbyist, enthusiast, any other word, connoisseur. All right, all right. Well, yeah, I don't know who we're gonna throw the raid over to, but it looks like Topo. All right, awesome. Sounds good to me. And yeah, you guys have a good night, and we'll catch you next week. Peace out, peeps.
See ya.